and no one is touching them. No one is, for leave alone Uganda, even other countries, you would see his family being bundled into the cars, being taken back to Magere, surrounded, of course, with military.
Okay, there was an attack on his wife.
This did not happen. And when it does not happen, and you hide, you exit, your family exits, now, my brother, you want me to join you and say you're in a struggle. Which struggle? That is, if it's a struggle, then it is when taking for the struggles that we have seen. So Kyagulanyi is out for a break, and I can tell you, at his time of convenience, he will be back here.
Okay.
You see,
be as it may,
you see,
to what extent does his exit or foreign incursions redefine or shape politics?
You see, Kyagulanyi, already the NUP had challenges. For example, in this 11th parliament, and during the elections time when they were picking cards, and I never want to speak on their behalf because then that's not my work. But what concerns me and what I see, even minus being NRM as a Ugandan, is that opposition is getting to its weakest point. NRM is getting, and when you talk about change, Kagwa, Honorable Mugisha talked about people being desperate for change. Which change are we talking about? Even when I hear people talk about transition, we have since been transiting. I was thinking about it the other day. You go and examine the government. Actually, you should have, as NBS, have the analysis of who occupies which office in this government. It is opposition by almost 40%. So you would think that genuinely, if they had genuine concerns when they were still in opposition, they should have come along with those ideas. Now, if they are in government, having transitioned from opposition, they are now in government, and you are not seeing any impact, then even when they were in opposition, they had no fundamental departure from government way of doing things, apart from joining themselves and partaking of what is being taken in government. So transition has been happening. 40 or plus % of people in government have come from opposition at different times.
Okay.
I even expect this time.
This is what I want to pick from you, that NRM is consolidating itself as the opposition is crumbling, right?
Yes. No. NRM is not only consolidating, it's being accommodative of all other concerned that thought would participate and bring on board the ideas that can move the country forward. Now, if we succeed on that path of bringing on board those who claim to be in opposition, my concern is, if you don't see change by now, then those who claim to be in opposition don't have fundamental departures. Because if they indeed have, they are all now in government. And then the impact should be felt.
Good. How big a threat is the looming exodus that Chimosho talks about? We've already seen in Sibambi leading a team to State House.
Simon, when the regime was strong, opposition could easily organize meetings in town and move around the country when the regime was strong. But now that the regime is at its weakest, they will even stop prayers. So sometimes when the regime appears to be strong, it is at its weakest. And when the opposition appears to be weak, it is at its strongest point.
So at what point is the opposition now?
The opposition is no longer about political parties. The opposition is about Ugandans that are not happy with the regime and want change. And that's why I'm saying now, if you move around the country, you will see that the opposition is at strongest point. And now it's incumbent upon us to mobilize this opposition of the traders, of the unemployed, of the oppressed, so that we gather that momentum that can deliver change in this country. It's not going to be business as usual. That you see, it is government versus FDC, government versus PFF. No. It is now we have reached at a level where it is the regime versus Ugandans.
I'm seeing a scenario. What is obtaining now? The opposition has been hugely bruised on the parliamentary front. We've seen the key players have been booted out. In a way, or to what extent would this be a setback or a motivation for the struggle?
See, like I said, this was planned and effected. That all the strongest members of parliament, whether they are in NRM, whether they are in the opposition, must be fought and using very many tactics and strategies. So, if you look at the people who lost elections, look at the pattern. Look at Honorable Nwagaba, look at Honorable Sechkubo, look at Tinka Simre, look at Saro Pendi. Look at people who lost. It was not just by accident. They were targeted. If you go to opposition and see which people lost, Honorable Semuju, Honorable Mpuga, Segona, you realize
Yourself.
that, yes, of course, you would realize that somebody sat and said, for us to effect this move to a one-party state, the following must leave parliament. And so they were targeted and pushed out, whether using people in opposition or using NRM itself. So I don't want to use parliament as a litmus test. That's because we have fewer members of parliament now, it means that the opposition is not there. I am not going to use leaders as a litmus test to show that the opposition is weak or strong, depending on how many members of parliament they are in parliament.
The parliamentary front has been decimated, right?
Weakened, yes.
Does it in any way suggest that perhaps the former outspoken legislators could be more effective from outside in triggering and influencing the struggle, the way things are run?
Actually, when you're outside, you fight more than when you're in parliament. Because in parliament, you're very busy. There are very many interests. The bishop is looking up to you. You have the constituents looking up to you. You have to go for fundraising. Now we have all the time in the struggle. And like I said, there is a population that is disgruntled, that is not happy, that wants change. It has been lacking leadership. It's up to us now to move, organize the journalists, because I know you're also not happy. You know what is happening, how your rights are being, you saw what happened in Kawempe. I saw you calling back your reporters. So we have to mobilize everybody, whether they are traders, whether they are journalists, whether they are religious leaders. I am sure the Catholic Church is not happy about what happened in Rubaga, that you cannot organize mass, that you need permission from the president. I saw our bishops in Rome. I hope they discussed it with the Pope, because it has never happened before. That tells you the fear that the person you think is strong, how far he has gone.
These would be extraordinary times. Like Honorable Mao has often said, that this would be more of a transition 5 years, the next 5 years. Is the opposition alive to what lies ahead, or you're still in self-preservation and trying to pick up pieces?
Well, there are certain things that cannot be said here because of the way we are going to be operating. You see, when they declare you a terrorist group, for example, you saw when the president was in Kororo, he said the following parties, these ones are parties of bad people. And the parties he was pointing at was PFF, was Anti, and Mpugas at that time. Those he called friendly forces, he left their MPs to go through. Those he pointed at as terrorist groups, he went for their members of parliament and made sure all of them don't go through. So we have now to change the modus operandi. It cannot be the way we have been organizing, come and sit here, and then a press conference, and then every Monday. No, things have to change. And that's why, as PFF, we are going now to do our structures up to the ground. From the structures, we do mobilization of the citizens to what I told you, the struggle against one-party state.
Thank you. There is a sense that Mwijiche, PFF, and other groups are re-energizing themselves for the struggle ahead. Is it anything to watch?
Yeah, because, and certainly, NRM does not take anything for granted. Neither does the president and the chairman of the party take anything for granted. But what should be on record is that my brother, senior brother, Honorable Mwijiche, shouldn't shift the blame to NRM. NRM could have won some positions from the opposition members, but much of also what you see is opposition is self-decapitating. Opposition. They are a problem to themselves. Yes. What we do as NRM is to stand from a strategic point of view, see, analyze, and take advantage. But when you, for example, make your analysis in Kampala, for example, opposition was a problem to itself. You can't blame it on anyone. And why do they become a problem to themselves? It goes back to the core of why some people are in opposition. Because the Rukwago scenario is, this is PFF NUP struggle. Far from NRM.
Or it was deliberate to kick them out of their offices?
By who? NUP kicking out?
Mwijiche says it was state-inspired.
NUP kicking out? NUP kicking out...
No. The regime used some elements in the opposition to fight opposition in some areas. And for example, we know how Rukwago was defeated. You may think it was PFF versus NUP, but it was the other way around. So I met some senior police officers who told me, our candidate is so and so. I said, but you as a policeman, I said, our candidate is so and so, and I don't want to mention names.
I told you, opposition is self-decapitating. NUP, you see, I told you, and this takes me back to my 4 areas on which opposition was building. The Uganda question, the northern, the military figures, and people who came in and they were like, let's also demonstrate our capacity and we shall be called on table. When you analyze NUP, when NUP came in as a force, personally, I expected it to bring on board the other opposition parties, to have a coalition of sorts, to coalesce around common grounds. You see, you look for Messenger, you look for Muntu, you look for figures. What does NUP do? Even within themselves, those who are trying to emerge, they had to cut their heads off. You cut off Mpuga, you cut off Segona, you cut off Bwanika. Whoever raises up for a question, to question that, how are we doing this? You are not allowed.
But don't you know that's a strategy of NRM? That everybody who comes up, whether it is Mbabazi, whether it is Kenya, whether it is everybody who, don't you know that is the Museveni strategy? And
you know why? You know why they are cutting each other's heads? So NUP struggles to finish all others and becomes a dominant party. Because it comes with a lot of earning, being a dominant party and a leader of the opposition. Because I have always asked Kagwanjara, for heaven's sake, you have a message, for example, under detention, and you are a Chagulanyi. You are whoever it is, I don't want to mention names because some already cohabiting with NRM, so it doesn't make sense even to mention their names. You really want to tell the country that you mean what you say. And you go once in court. You never call a meeting of minds of great. So anyway, in my view, NRM has embraced opposition. And opposition, for some reason, I think for the reason, because I'm not party to what inspires them to be in opposition, I think over time they have agreed that now NRM is doing things better, and they have opted to join. And I think what we are seeing is going to continue, especially now that in NRM we have masterpieces from opposition that understand the soft and hardware of opposition, and they know how to deal, incorporate it, make them comfortable, and perhaps make them have less complaints and become part of NRM. And
so you removed the key plugs from the opposition?
I mean, you see, they have accepted our way of doing things as the best, and they have joined us. And being accommodative as we are, and as our chairman is, we are working with them. And they are helping, they are not seated, they are helping to bring on board. You see, if you want to catch a wrongdoer, a wrongdoer, send someone they have been practicing with to bring them on board. They know all their roots in and out. So,
well, as we take a very short break, I have very exciting news out here that the third phase of Zimba Challenge is here, the courtesy of Housing Finance Bank. It is a meeting of the top innovators out there who will be at the bootcamp stage happening on the 25th and 26th March at Forest Park Resort in Buloba. Let's rethink housing, let's rebuild Uganda, and let's Zimba Uganda. We'll take a break and return shortly.
The Housing Finance Bank Zimba Challenge is here.
We are presenting to you a model that gives us and helps